You know, when you watch these big K-pop shows and you feel disappointed half of the time because you had different winners in mind or they weren't even nominated. Well, that's why I'm making my own K-pop awards this year. I have some categories that you will see on regular award shows, but I also made some up based on what was being released this year. Now, as the title suggests, these are my K-pop awards, meaning that these are winners based on my own personal taste. While I try to be objective in certain categories, especially the more important ones, I still mostly wasn't, and just went based off what I actually listened to this year and what really resonated with me this year. This is just a way for me to talk about everything I like this year, and that's why I try to pick different artists for as many categories as possible. Of course, there are some artists that did really well this year that could probably fill half of the categories that I have. But because I want to talk about as many artists as possible, I try to pick different ones. All right, let's get started. There really wasn't much competition this year, at least in my eyes, when it comes to new boy groups. I just wasn't feeling most of them. In general, it was more of a girl group year as well, I think. But for debuts, I really had no problem picking a winner, and that is To Us. They were really the only rookie group that I loved everything that they released. And the funny thing is that I wasn't even necessarily into them when they debuted. I was like, oh, this is a great song, I'll check them out. And then they released Hey Hey. And that song you could say, really marked something because I was obsessed with it, not just when it came out, but like till now. And so I started watching performances, I started watching fan cams, and I got kind of obsessed. No other boy group came to that level. Some of the other groups that I liked this year were Ampersand One and One Pact. It's just that I didn't love everything that they put out. Now, this is a category where I had many choices because I think this year really was big for girl group debuts. There were a lot of girl groups that I liked. Granted, I am someone who is more likely to like a girl group than a boy group, but if I like something, I don't discriminate based on gender. And so my winner is Baby Monster. I think Baby Monster is really the only group that ticks all of the boxes for me. While there were some other rookie groups that released maybe songs I liked better, Baby Monster is kind of like a whole package. They are fantastic singers, dancers, amazing performance. They look like they've been performing for 5 years. I like pretty much all of their songs, some more than others, but I think they've released so much for a YG group that there really is, I think, something for everyone. Of course, if you are into that kind of music. And I love the members. For me, they're definitely the most polished group in all of the areas. Now, I want to spotlight two more artists, and those are Racine and Cubin. These two really had released some of my favorite songs from debut artists this year. Racine had an interesting debut. I was very intrigued. I wasn't into it that much though, but it was the comeback that really got to me. Like, Love Attack is one of my favorite songs of the year, and I'm really excited to see what they're gonna release next. Cubin is a soloist, but she's one of those rare nowadays soloists in K-pop that actually debuted as a soloist and doesn't come from a group. Her voice is amazing, and I really love both songs that she put out, and I cannot wait to get an album from her. And here are some other rookies that I really enjoyed this year that I still want to mention. What I mean by solo debut is when a group member debuts solo. There were a lot of solo debuts, but nothing really stood out to me in the sense that I was really into the song and really obsessed with it, because that is something that I need. Even if I really like the member that is debuting solo, if I don't love the music, I'm just not gonna watch the performances. I'm not gonna be that into it. I decided to pick a male and a female. Two of the release songs that I genuinely enjoyed. So the first one is Sora from Uju Sonyo. I loved Without You. It was definitely not, I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't this, and I loved it. It suits her voice so well, and I just really hope she's gonna release something else. She's gonna have a comeback. I hope this is not, one time and done, because I really don't know what is happening with Uju Sonyo, and I'm kind of worried. And the other one is Chaonu Jongwoo and his song Stay. I love ballads. I love songs like this. This is definitely the kind of song that I'm gonna put on and listen to, so I really liked this song. Now I want to mention 3 artists that I really love, that I'm so happy that debuted solo. I'm just not that into the music. The first one is Eve, previously from Luna. I am so happy for her, but I just do not like the music. Like, I don't like the title tracks, and so I didn't even listen to the B-sides. I feel like I'm the only one. Everyone is praising her, so I'm so happy for her. I just am. It's just not my thing. Same goes for Yeonjun from TXT. I love him. He's my favorite TXT member. I just do not like the song. Like, there are some very catchy parts in that song. I'm just never gonna listen to it. And the third one is Irene, and I feel like out of these 3, I like her song the most. It's a fine song. I'm gonna watch all the performances. Probably I'm never gonna listen to it outside of the performances. A group that I think really came into their own this year is Kiss of Life. I loved what they released last year, but it was really Midas Touch that made me a fan. It's definitely my favorite song of theirs. And I think they really, both music-wise, but also how they were accepted by the public, I feel like they're definitely with each release getting bigger and bigger. At least that's the feeling I'm getting. The second group I want to mention is Triple S. I feel like this year they really shined. I mean, I liked them from the beginning, but I feel like people were just confused what was happening at the beginning. And I feel like this year they really like embraced them. They released 2 full-length albums this year. I think both of them sold really well. They got their first win, and I was really surprised. I think I watched their performance on Melon Music Awards, and the crowd was so loud, which usually rarely happens on these big awards where you have so many groups and so many fans from different groups. You rarely hear such huge fan chants for smaller groups, but the fans were really loud, so I was very impressed. But yeah, it's not just the way I'm seeing it, but also the sales are speaking for themselves. I think the best Korean collaboration is definitely Spot by Zico and Jennie. It was a big thing, I think. Everyone was talking about it. I love the song. I think it was the perfect collab. I also, however, have to mention my other favorite collab. That's not Korean, that's why it's not winning #1. And that is Apatu by Rosé and Bruno Mars. Honestly, if this was a Korean song, it would win #1, even though it's done by a K-pop idol. It's a Western album, sung in English, promoted in the West. I just can't count it as a K-pop collab. But it's a collab, and I love it. And it really, I think it was such a smart choice for her first song to be this, because I think she managed to kind of get in both Koreans and Westerners, because, you know, the song's in English, it has Bruno Mars, it's freaking catchy, but she managed to get Koreans on her side as well because of the inclusion of the language and the Korean, you know, game. And that's great marketing. But it's a fantastic song too. I was terrible at Korean dramas this year, but I did watch a few. My favorite is Hold Me Back by Haze. This is a song from Queen of Tears. While I do love the Crush song as well, this one's definitely my favorite. When it comes to music videos, it is very hard for me to say, okay, this is the one best music video, right? Because very rarely, it happens, but rarely are K-pop music videos bad. Most of the time, they're at least okay, if not amazing. And I'm also someone who loves watching music videos, so I like different kinds of music videos. But I decided to pick 2 that I think fit the most into what I consider to be the perfect K-pop music video, and it has all the elements that I enjoy. These 2 music videos are Heya by IVE and Cosmic by Red Velvet. They're both very different looks-wise, but I think both of them have all of the elements that I enjoy in a music videos, and so these types of music videos are the ones that I will continue to rewatch. I picked a few choreographies that, when I think back on the year, these are the ones that really stuck out to me and really stuck with me. I tend to favor choreographies that are more expressive, that kind of tend to paint a picture, and these choreographies most often than not include contemporary dance moves, you know, some more than others. And so 3 choreos that I would kind of put in this category this year are ENHYPEN's Fatal Trouble, ITZY's Imaginary Friend, and On and Off's By My Monster. All 3 of these choreos are very emotional, which always gets to me. They have beautiful formations, and I think all three of them actually have some very fast moves and then some slow movements. These three are definitely the three that I remember when I think of this year, and I kind of like all three for the same reason. These are the types of choreos that I always enjoy. And then I have three more that I want to spotlight for different reasons. The first one is Tonga's I'm Ready. This is the kind of choreo that I also tend to enjoy, but it is very hard to pull off. And Chonga is one of those people that can pull it off. Of course, her choreo benefits a lot from the backup dancers, but if you only look at her, it's still very impressive. The second one is Girls Never Die by Triple S. Now, I'm not necessarily talking here about individual movements. What is really impressive to me about this choreography is how it all comes together. I was really skeptical. How are they going to make 24 girls work on stage? The choreography is done in a way that all of the members play both main character parts and backup dancer parts. However, none of them ever feel like they're only backup dancers. I'm pretty sure, I didn't check this, but when I was watching the performances, I had a feeling that all of the members were in the center at least once in the whole choreography. And that's a lot because there's 24 of them. When you think about, there are certain groups that have like 5 members or 6 members, and there's that one member that has no lines, and even when they have a line, they're at the side. But here, pretty sure, like if not all of them, like 90% of them make it to the center and have, even if they say 2 words, they are in the center, which means that the camera is gonna capture them. And the third one is Shh by BBs. Now, I never thought I would include BBs in a choreo category, but they killed it. It's such a dynamic choreography. It has a lot of like really fast parts and then slowed down parts, which really works. I am a big fan of what I call a hip choreo. I know this is not a technical term, but another reason I also included this is because there were a lot of hip choreos this year and a lot of twerking, and I'm not a fan of twerking, but I think Shh is a great example of how, if it's sprinkled in the choreo and, you know, if it's dynamically incorporated into the choreo, I love it. Now here there is no question for me, and that is BAP, or I don't know how to say their current name, so I'm gonna say 4 members from BAP. Curtain Call, or the title track being Gone. I am a huge fan of BAP. They have been my alts for like 10 years now, and I never thought that we were gonna get this, or at least, I don't know, I didn't want to hope that we were ever gonna get this, but we got it. We got a proper comeback, and they released such a BAP song, but at the same time, they don't have a title track like this. The album as well, very emotional and very, very BAP. More like on the emotional side BAP rather than the powerful BAP, but still my favorite release this year, just from an emotional standpoint. In general, I'm very happy whenever an older group that I liked gets together. But another one I want to mention is Sister 19, No More, My Boy. And that is because is the best song that Hyorin has released since Sister disbanded. And that is, of course, very personal. And I've liked some of her releases, but like, I was like, this is it. This is the song. I actually like it more than the other Sister 19 songs. So I was very excited when they came back, and I loved the performances. They were fantastic. You know, whenever you see like seasoned idols and you're like, they might not be doing crazy choreo, but they are killing it. My absolute favorite has to be N-Team's Awarashi. N-Team is one of my favorite groups, and it's so funny because since their debut, their songs, usually in Korean, make it to like the top of my list, and they're not even a K-pop group. It's just... it's so sad. Or not, however you look at it, right? But yeah, I love N-Team, and while they weren't promoting in Korea this year, I still really liked everything that they released. I wish we we got more performances, but whatever. But out of everything they've released this year, Aorashi was my favorite, and it was also the song that I was obsessed with and like listened on repeat for a while. And then the other one, I have to again mention Rosé and just say all three title tracks that she released. Apature is definitely the catchiest one, but I love Toxic Till the End. It is such a good song. I really, really love the kind of music that she went for, and I think she sounds amazing. Double title tracks and even multiple title tracks are kind of becoming a thing or have been a thing for the past maybe 2 years. And I am usually on the side of there has to be a reason why you chose two title tracks. I think anything more than two is too much, but there has to be a reason why two. And that's why I decided to pick two winners that I think did the whole double title track things in a way that makes sense. And these two are aespa and IVE. aespa with Supernova and Armageddon, and IVE with Heya and Ascendio. I'm gonna talk about them both at the same time because I have the same thoughts about both of them. To me, when you decide on two title tracks, they have to be different enough that it makes sense why you chose both of them, right? They have to bring something else to the table, something that the other one didn't. And I think especially with aespa, they both are very aespa songs, but very different. Now one is brighter in everything, the sound and the styling, and then Armageddon being on the darker aespa side. This album was more about let us show you everything that we can do, and these two title tracks were perfect for that kind of an album. Same goes for IVE. Heya, uses the more traditional Korean even sounds, like not just styling, and it is definitely a more K-poppy, I would say, song. And then Ascendio, it is darker also in sound. Even though it was for a mini album, it still worked really well. Another thing that I require when artists choose multiple title tracks, and that's why I usually don't like when they do it, is that if you're gonna say that you have two title tracks, then both songs need to get the title track treatment. And with both of these, both songs got a music video, both songs got sufficient promotion, both got at least 1 week, and both songs had great outfits. I didn't feel that one song was more important than the other in terms of promotion it got. What I mean by that is reversal in opinion, I guess, and I picked one for the public and one for me personally. So for the public, I'm gonna say Baby Monster. They really went from everyone talking about them and accusing them of being a Blackpink copy to really, I feel like, establishing their own sound and getting people on board with that. Like the narrative around Baby Monster has completely changed. I hear very little negativity around Baby Monster now, while Better Up was more negativity than, anything else. And I really think the first step in that was like that, the fact that they decided to promote that, and also their live performances, them performing Sheesh with microphones and being completely live. And then, of course, releasing music for their full-length album that just wouldn't be released by Blackpink. Yeah, sure, Drip could have been a Blackpink song, but nothing Blackpink has done sounds like Drip. And the B-sides are also very different to what Blackpink would have done. Now, for me personally, I would say NMIXX. I always loved the members. I thought they were insanely talented. I just had a hard time with the music. And I was kind of on board in the first year, but last year just was not. I was like, if you are gonna abandon the thing that you based your name on, then at least make better songs. But I feel like this year, whether that is their management, their composers, I don't know, but all of them figured out, I think, what they want NMIXX to be, and they really honed in their sound. And both releases from this year were fantastic, both albums, all of the songs that they released music videos for, and I am so excited. I just hope this doesn't change. I hope this just goes into that same direction, or at least that I love whatever they put out. But I was just so happy for NMIXX this year, and I was so surprised when every song that was released, I was like, I actually love this, because my favorite song from NMIXX before was their Christmas song. Just saying. This is not necessarily an award. I did want to talk about a few things like that. And for me, the most underrated group this year was Purple Kiss. And I think this just stems from the fact that I love Purple Kiss. And I just feel like their popularity is going down instead of up. I feel like they really hit a high with Sweet Juice. And then after the whole Queendom puzzle, I am just really worried about them because even though I wasn't obsessed with their first comeback this year, the second one was fantastic. And their B-sides are always good no matter what their title track is, and they are so solid on stage and vocally. And people always talk about, oh, why are all of these groups that can't sing popular, but then you have a group that can sing and people don't rally behind them. So I just take this whole, oh, this group had a terrible encore stage. I'm like, you know what, they at least had an encore stage. Well, why don't you support groups that can sing, and maybe then you will have better encore stages, so yeah, I was really sad. I don't know if by this point anything has changed, but I remember I checked their music video and it didn't even reach 1 million views, which views are not everything, but they didn't have a problem with views before. They were reaching millions of views, and now this song, I think it's a fantastic song, and it's not getting any traction. For me this year, definitely the most surprising is To Us, Hey Hey. I did not expect to be obsessed with a song by a group that I just kind of checked out when they debuted and then didn't listen to at all. And then they released this song and I didn't even listen to it the moment it came out, but then I saw that they're performing it. I was like, you know what, I might as well check it out. And I to say that I was obsessed is an understatement. Like, this is my most listened song on Spotify this year. And while Spotify is not a full representation of what I listen to, because I listen to a lot of music through YouTube, not YouTube music, but like through performances and music videos and fan cams and stuff like that. But still, I listen to Hey Hey a lot. And then the second one is actually Kojo by One Pact. And the reason why this is surprising for me is because this is their most aggressive song, and their other two songs should be the ones that I like more, but I like Kojo the most. And that is really surprising to me because I don't usually gravitate towards music like that. Now, again, not an award, but I have to talk about, I have to vent somewhere. So I'm gonna use this video to do that. My most disappointing releases, number one of this year, were Enhypen title tracks. And hear me out. I love Enhypen, and two of their other songs this year, Fatal Trouble and Brought the Heat Back, are some of my most listened songs this year. But their title tracks are just not it. How do you have a song like Fatal Trouble and you don't use it as a title track? Come on, Enhypen are popular enough that people are gonna rally behind a title track no matter what. Why do we have to go to these extremes to release catchy songs just so that they go viral? And I don't even know if any of them went viral. And then, okay, fine, you don't want to release Fatal Trouble as a title track, you're scared. Okay, what about Brought the Heat Back? That song has everything a song, it's catchy, it's upbeat, it has better choreo than the title track. It's amazing. Why don't you at least use it as a second title track? Why is it a B-side? Even the music video is better objectively better. I'm sorry, say whatever you want, but the music video for Brought the Heat Back is better than the one for EXO. Just like last year, the music video for Sacrifice was better than the one for Bite Me. What is going on with Enhypen's management? Who is making these decisions? Can you tell? I'm angry. And then the second one is I'm not nearly as upset about it. I was just disappointed. And I want to say I was disappointed because I had extreme expectations. And that is Gold by ITZY. I know a lot of people love this song, and I wonder if a lot of people love this song because they love the song or because Leah's finally back. You let me know. But this is my least favorite ITZY title track, and especially coming after the Untouchable comeback, which was perfect in my eyes. This just didn't cut it for me, and I'm so happy that they released Imaginary Friend as a second title track and that I love it as much as I do, so that I can just kind of forget about Gold. Because if Gold was the only thing that they released, I would be kind of upset, and I probably wouldn't even listen to the album. And the album is great, and I have every right to say this because according to Spotify, ITZY is my most listened to artist this year. I listened to their full-length album so many times that they just made it to number one. I don't know. But yeah, Gold just didn't do it for me. Nothing, not just the song. I don't really care for the choreo or the outfits. Like I told my best friend that if I at least loved all of the outfits, I would watch the performances for the outfits, but I don't even care for the outfits. Like, nothing's wrong with them. They're just not special enough for me to watch the performances for the outfits. Speaking of the outfits, I usually prefer outfits that are color coordinated and that look like they were either made for that performance or they are put together so well that they look like they could be costumes, right, for the performance. I usually don't care about streetwear or, outfits that are mismatched. So the three that kind of stayed with me the most, the first one is Let It Burn by Heike. I think one of the hardest things when it comes to outfits is consistency, especially if the group has a lot of performances. And that's why I'm putting Heike on at number one, because they had at least 3 weeks, if not 4, of performing this song, and every single stage that I saw, and I saw probably everything, was amazing. Even the more, low-key outfits were still styled so well. Every single stage, they all looked put together. They all looked like a group, which is very important to me. I loved them individually as well. It's just, I think these were my favorite outfits across the board this year, just because of how consistently good they were. The second one is Classified by Oh My Girl. I love beautiful dresses and kind of like frilly things as well. This is right up my alley, and we haven't seen Oh My Girl in these kinds of outfits in a long time, so I was very excited. These actually look like stage costumes because they all are made from either the same material or, they all share some part that is the same. They must have been made specifically for Oh My Girl. I love these kinds of outfits the most. And the third one is Super Lady by Idol. There's less consistency here because they only perform for a week, but I loved the outfits so much that I had to mention them. I love the bodysuits, the sparkly stuff, the high boots. I loved everything. I love sparkles. So if something is sparkly and color coordinated, is perfect. I think it especially looked so well because all of them were wearing the same thing, I think, pretty much in every performance. So it really looked like a uniform. Full albums are rare in K-pop. Most groups release very few, if any, full-length albums, and they are spaced out usually pretty well throughout Idol's careers. There are very few, I would say, groups that release full-length albums very consistently. So I think when you do release a full-length album, it should feel different. It should feel special. I'm not talking about how the company promoted it in terms of like ads and stuff like that. I'm talking specifically of what was released for this particular album outside of the album itself. The two that I want to talk about are ITZY's Born to Be and aespa's Armageddon. With ITZY, they released 2 pre-releases that were both very different from both each other and the title track. The title track is one of my favorite ITZY title tracks to date. The outfits for the title track on the stage were all great. I really liked the album, them getting their solo songs, the short music videos for the solo songs. There was so much material released for this album that it really felt special, and I genuinely loved everything, and it's so hard to do that. And the second one, like I said, aespa Armageddon, again, very similar. They had 2 title tracks, both promoted on music shows. They released extra music videos, or like, I think the first ones were like the short ones, but then for Live My Life, they released a full music video. So it really felt special. Now, granted, aespa has done that kind of promotion for a mini album as well, but still, it would be weird if they didn't do it for a full-length album. I felt like these 2 full-length albums were the 2 that I felt really different from a mini album and were promoted like a full-length album the best. For this, I picked Dreamcatcher Justice, and I'm talking specifically about their live stages. For those of you who don't know or don't follow Dreamcatcher, their main vocalist was on a hiatus during the promotion for this song. She was in the music video, but she didn't promote it on music shows. So that means that all the other members covered her parts. We had a main dancer, covering some of the highest notes from a main vocalist. It was so impressive. Like those were some of my favorite live stages. They pulled it off really well, and I think she can be proud. But of course, no one can do it like her, right? I'm not saying she's replaceable. It's just that it is nice to see a group that can still fill in for such an important member vocally and it not sound weird. And the second one is Red Velvet's Cosmic. In general, Red Velvet, very great vocally, but I'm particularly talking about a moment in the song, and that is Wendy, especially Wendy's voice from like I think it's from the bridge to the last chorus. That last part of the song makes me want to cry every time I hear it, and I think it is both down to the instrumental but also the way Wendy sings it. So I really wanted to highlight that as well. I decided to make a separate category for ballads because I don't think ballads can compete with the more commercial songs, but I personally love ballads, so I thought I would, make a category separately because otherwise I probably wouldn't talk about these songs. The first one is Door by Triple S Aria. I love this song. It is so beautiful. Taeyeon's voice, I mean, all five of them sound amazing, but Taeyeon is just so special. And the second one is Chaehonu's Stay. As I said before, this is the kind of song that I always tend to like, so I wanted to give it another shout out. This was, again, really hard, so I couldn't pick only one song. I'm gonna talk about multiple B-sides, and I'm just gonna go through them really quickly. I'm not gonna sit here and explain in no particular order. The first one is Mr. Vampire by ITZY. Could have been a title track on its own. Next is Brought the Heat Back by Enhypen. Again, this should have been the title track, or at least one of the title tracks. I will stand by this forever. To Us, Hey Hey. I really love the title track, from their second mini album, so I'm not saying that this should have been a title track, but it is a fantastic song. It could have been a title track. Back to Me by Kiss of Life. This is my favorite B-side from that album, and I wish we had a performance of it, but I guess I'm just gonna have to watch fan cams from the tour. Gravity by 50/50. While I do love the title track, this song has something really special, and I think it really resonated with people because they did perform it later because of I'm pretty sure because of the feedback that it got. I'm Ready by Chonga. This is my favorite song of hers released this year. I don't care about Eeny Meeny. I mean, it's fine, nothing wrong with it, but it's just not the kind of song I'm ever gonna listen to. I'm Ready, though, is very much my kind of song. There were a lot of bands this year, and I think a lot of them had really great music, but my favorite one was FT Island. I haven't heard an FT Island full-length album in a while. I think they haven't released one in years. Both, songs that they released are fantastic, and the whole album is amazing. So I really recommend that you listen to it. I think it is definitely worth a listen. Here is where I'm gonna be a little bit more subjective, and I'm picking Taemin. While I wasn't as obsessed with his comeback this year like I was with Guilty, it was still really good, and I'm very happy that he didn't lose his sound after changing agencies. The other two I want to mention are Yuk Sung-jae and Jin. I never expected Jin to be my favorite soloist from BTS, but here we are. I really like the two songs that he released. I haven't listened to the album though, and I like the Korean one better. And Yuk Sung-jae released one of my favorite songs from a soloist this year. Again, very subjective, and that is Taeyeon. Taeyeon is my favorite artist above anyone else, and whatever she releases, I am gonna like. If she only released Heaven this year, I wouldn't feel comfortable putting her number one because that's just one song. But she did release Letter to Myself and a fantastic album to go with it, so I am feeling fine putting her at number one. Now, the other two I want to mention are Nayeon and Icheon. I really love Nayeon as an idol, and I'm so happy that I love her music as well. I'm only talking about title tracks. I haven't delved into B-sides yet. That's why I can't put her on number one. But I love her title tracks, and I think she really stepped everything up this year. I love the song. She really went all in with the choreo, so great job. And then Icheon, while this is not my favorite title track from hers, I think this song suits her voice the most, and she really shined in this era. What I mean by best comeback is when everything is great. It doesn't have to be the best. Someone else might have released a better song or had a better outfit, but the best comeback for me is when every single thing, you know, outfit, song, album, performances, styling, everything comes together and it creates this amazing whole. For me, this year, that was ITZY's Untouchable. It might be controversial. I feel like not as many people loved Untouchable as I did. To me, that comeback is perfect. Everything that they released, I loved it. And that's why Gold was such a disappointment. But yeah, Untouchable, one of my favorite comebacks ever. I ran out of space, so I had to change the phone, but hopefully there's not too much of a difference in quality. But yeah, let's continue. This year just was not doing it for me with boy groups. There were a lot of good releases, just nothing stood out to me. When I think back on the year, there's just nothing that comes to mind, or at least there's not a group that comes to mind that's like, this was a group I was obsessed with. There were some great releases, but then maybe I didn't like some the other releases that same group did, or maybe they only had like one release, but it was at the beginning of the year, so I don't feel like it was that impactful for the whole year. So I picked two groups. These two groups actually released things that I enjoyed. And these two groups are Gravity and P1 Harmony. So with Gravity, I've loved everything that they've done since Adrenaline, and I love both title tracks from this year, but also the album. I added every single B-side to my list from the first album that they released this year. I feel like Gravity just does not get the recognition that they deserve for the music that they put out. And for P1 Harmony is always that group since their debut that I can count on that they will release something that I'm going to like. If it's not gonna be, you know, obsession level, it's fine, it's still gonna be amazing. This year proved that. You know, I wasn't really into Killing It when it came out, but I really ended up loving it after a few months. I'm also really happy for them that they are getting the recognition from the industry as well, you know, getting #1s and album sales are rising, so I'm very happy for them. I think no one is going to be surprised by my pick here, and that is aespa. aespa did everything right this year. I already loved everything they did last year, but this year I feel like they really got to the next level and also, you know, made everyone obsessed with them if they weren't before. From, you know, the release of their full-length album to the solos on their tour, like the solos from the tour were viral. And then to Whiplash, just everything that they did this year, from the styling, the music, performances, everything was great in my eyes. So I don't think there's anyone else that can really compete with that this year. This was the year of aespa. And I'm very happy that they are getting the recognition on the award show, the actual ones, not just on mine. I picked a few albums. I don't have one pick because I'm indecisive. I picked a few that I actually listened through multiple times as an album, not just as a few B-sides on my playlist. The first one is Curtain Call by BAP. Very BAP kind of album. Has a lot of elements that I love from them. It felt like coming home, and it was definitely an album that I will cherish forever. The second one is Love Tune by 50/50. Every single song on this album could have been a title track, and I'm glad that they released music videos and promoted most of them. The only complaint I have for this album, and why I actually probably didn't listen to it through, but I just added all the B-sides to my playlist, is because I don't listen to English versions, and the English versions are kind of like integrated in the album instead of being at the end. So that's one complaint, but it has nothing to do with the actual songs. And the third one is Lose Yourself by Kiss of Life. Honestly, one of the best albums, like as an experience. You really have to listen to this album from the beginning to the end at least once, because every single song kind of takes you on a journey, and it's really well put together, but also every single song works on its own, and it's a great song in its own right. The coveted best song of the year, and for me this year, that is Supernova by aespa. This song is one of my favorite aespa songs. I am so happy that it was so well received by the public, because at first I thought I was going to be one of the rare people that prefers Supernova to Armageddon, but no, the public has spoken, and Supernova really soared this year. But I do want to mention a few of the other songs that I absolutely love this year, and these are in no particular order: Enhypen's Fatal Trouble, To Us, Hey Hey, Red Velvet, Cosmic, Racine, Love Attack, ITZY, Untouchable. All of these songs I was obsessed with, and they are also all very high on my most listened to songs this year. Let me know your K-pop favorites down in the comments, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!